ridiculous thing in the world to do. But what did God say? Squat. And so when Michael said to me, "You'll be the health director," I have to tell you that sounded even more extreme and ridiculous. I'm just a mother, I just help other mothers. He said, "You'll be good." Do you know, he told me later, he said, "I hate health lectures." But he said, "Yours made sense." And it has to make sense. God gave us a brain that wants to know why. And unfortunately, the school system of today destroys that. Am I right? Yes. It does. And Rudyard Kipling, he wrote a whole poem on this. He said, "I have 6 trusty serving men. They taught me all I know. Their names are what, why, when, where, how, and who." Do you take them with you? I tell you, they're ripe and alive in a 4-year-old. Is that right? Thousands of questions. What happens? It's squashed. And yet we need to know why. Because this is my body, and I want to know what that's going to do. I want to know how that's going to affect me before I put it in. I need to know why. And so I took a big swallow and thought, well, okay. And I'm so glad that the first health week that we ran, there was one guest. I could handle that. Then a few more came. And when it was time to lecture, Michael would come in. He is not shy. And chat, and then he'd start asking me questions, and when he got me talking, he'd slip out the back, and sometimes I'll think, where's he gone? He's gone. My desire for people to have the knowledge that I believe is totally liberating. It cuts the chains that bind them to this system. I'm not against doctors, I'm against the system. The system that basically tells us that. Doesn't tell us that it's a deceptive system, but it is. And we know it is. Every drug has a side effect. There is no drug that doesn't have a side effect. Yes, even the painkillers that killed my arm, but guess what? Because I give my body the right conditions every day, I knew that I would recover, and I certainly did. Because we also live in a self-healing organism that has the ability to cleanse us. Because we are exposed to more environmental poisons than any generation that ever lived on the planet. So I thank God that we have a system that can detox and cleanse our body. But the best way to wash your dishes is water. The best way to clean the body is water. But a lot of people have forgotten about putting it on the inside. And that's one of the basic laws of health, is hydration. And so more people came, and the more people that came, the more I learnt. I discovered that the best way to learn is to teach. And I'm sure, and I have spoken to a few people here, and I was talking to Chuck too, and his recovery, you don't need qualifications. In fact, you are at an advantage if you don't. Did you hear that? But no one can argue with your story. No one can argue with that. No one can argue with that. And your story is a powerful story. Chuck's story was a powerful story. How encouraging is that story? And never underestimate what God can do. Never underestimate what this human body can do. And when the angel said to Mary, "You're going to conceive and bear in your womb a son," and she said, "How can these things be, seeing as I know not a man?" And then the angel said, "The Holy Ghost shall come upon thee, and the power of the highest shall overshadow thee, and that holy thing that shall be born of thee shall be called the Son of God." And then the angel said, "With God nothing shall be impossible." That's what we have to remember. With God nothing shall be impossible. He's able. In fact, a lovely verse found in Ephesians 3:20. Now unto him who is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we ask or think. Squat. And yet look, he was released. No operation. I was being interviewed by Doc Malik. You may have seen some of his podcasts. He's a British orthopaedic surgeon. But he refused to take a certain shot. And no surgery will let him operate. And so he does a lot of podcasts. He's married to a wife who's a doctor, so they're getting an income there. He said, I want to homeschool my kids now. Oh, yeah, what's important? We're going to look after tomorrow's leaders. Yep. You've heard the saying, the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. Yeah, there's the importance of early training. And he said to me, I started to get my patients to drink more water. Because do you know the synovial fluid around your joints is 99% water? Did you know that 75% of your upper body weight is held in your lower back by water? And if you're dehydrated, guess what? Those joints are going to ache a bit. Water. How simple is that? Water. No, don't flood the body. What did torrential downpours do? We saw what it did in North Carolina recently, eh? How do you give your body a torrential downpour? 16 ounces all at once. That's a torrential downpour. Do it bit by bit, bit by bit by bit. You'll be amazed how much water you can get in, bit by bit by bit by bit. So around the joints, that synovial fluid lubricates the joints. We live in an incredible body. What a simple health tip is that one. Just drinking more water. Do you know that's an easy place to start? And you don't look at the mountain and say, that's too high, I'm never going to climb it. What do? You just start walking. You just start one step at a time. And you'll get to that mountain. You'll get to the top. And an easy place to start is just start hydrating your body. So Doc Malik, that's what he did. Got his patients to drink more water. Got them to see a physiotherapist. Because we've got a bone, but there's lots of other things around that bone. You know what they're called? Ligaments, tendons, muscles. And we live in such an incredible body. Do you know that a gallbladder can be taken out and the body still functions? Yeah. Because we have a body that can adapt and adjust. Ideally, we keep as much as we can. So he'd send them to physiotherapists. And they're experts, they know their bones, they know the muscles, and they would target different stretches that you can do, give an exercise program, start eating nourishing food. You know, I look at how most Americans eat and I wonder how their bodies will ever heal. We live in an incredible body that's got an inbuilt ability to heal itself, but you've got to give it the building materials. I saw a photograph in a gas station here one day. Good-looking young man, and he's got this fancy car. And he said, I only want the best fuel for my car. We need another poster. I only want the best fuel for my body. And I wonder if he's as fussy on what goes in his mouth as he is what goes into his car. And you know what? If that car breaks down, he can buy another. But if this body breaks down, this is the one we've got for life. So that's what Doc Malik did. And he also got his patients to go to bed a little earlier. Because while we're sleeping in those 9 hours, the body's reviving and recharging. He said it got to the point where I was only operating on 5% of my patients. Orthopaedic surgeon. 5% of his patients. He said he had a lady come in one day and said, can't you just do the operation? She didn't want to do the physio. She didn't want to drink more water. Do you know, sometimes those operations can be very helpful and sometimes they're not.